Lauren Muhl is a senior at Hastings High School and will be a 2025 Raider graduate. During her time at Hastings High School, she has been a two-sport athlete competing in hockey and softball. In hockey, she's a 4-year letter winner, while in softball, she's a 3-year letter winner and a captain in each sport. Lauren gives a great interview where she really highlights the importance the community of Hastings has had on her sporting career, along with amazing coaches and teammates she has played with over the last 4 years. All right, here we are with Lauren Muhl. Lauren, we always like to start at the beginning of someone's life. So let's start at the beginning of your life. Let's hear about your mom and your dad, any brothers or sisters that you have. Did you guys always live in Hastings? Did you eventually move to Hastings? So once again, let's hear about your life growing up.
Yeah, so I have my mom and my dad, and I have my younger brother, Mason. He is 4 years younger than me. He's currently in the middle school right now. And growing up, we've always lived in Hastings, but we used to live right when I was born. We lived in town with my mom's parents, and then we ended up getting a house north of town over the bridge. And that's where I've been my whole life. And that's where my childhood dog, everything's been here. Like we have our names written in the cement down and behind the shop. And that's where I think it's ha being able to live here my whole life, I think, is truly a blessing in being in this house because that's all I know, and we redid a lot of it our house, and we added on a lot of it. If you look at the videos that my mom took when they bought the house, I didn't even know it was our house. Like,
Mhm.
we just completely changed it, and I think that was just really fun, seeing all the memories of it, and there's videos of little four-year-old me helping my dad tear up the wood and stuff like that, and I think what has been really cool about it is each of my family members have 3 siblings, and so family has just been huge. Like, family has probably always been my number one thing. A lot of my friends are like, "Oh my gosh, you're hanging out with your cousin again?" I'm like, "Yeah." I didn't really know that was so weird, but that's just who I am, and obviously, what I'm the people watching have Miss Benson's my aunt, and every class period, every passing time, I'll be in her room. Anything I have
Mhm.
something to say, I'll be right there with her, and I'll be at her house on the weekends, and being able to have her in school, I think really helped me get through and even just transferred and made me mature as a human in high school for sure.
Perfect. That definitely leads into my next question. We always like hearing about the schools you attended in Hastings. And me as a teacher, I really like hearing about teachers that really had a big impact on you. Once again, you don't have to name every single teacher that you had throughout every single grade, but if there's certain teachers at each school that had a really big impact on you, just like you talked about Mrs. Benson at the high school, let's hear about those teachers.
For sure, I went to Pinecrest Elementary. That's where all of us country kids went, which was really fun, and my grandma was actually a cook at McCullough, and right before I went to kindergarten, all the country kids went to McCullough. So she was like, "I'm gonna be a cook there. I'm gonna have Lauren and Mason, and it'll be super fun." And then right before my kindergarten year, they switched and all the country kids went to Pinecrest. So my grandma was pretty bummed about that, but
Mhm.
she still got all my friends that I would bring home or I would tell her about. She would know because they would go to McCullough, which was really fun. But starting off, definitely number one is Miss Matzik, kindergarten teacher. Had her right away. There's so many memories I hold from that class. A lot of my friends I still have to this day, like Madison Haynes, me and her were in that class together, and now she's one of my really good friends as a senior, which is crazy. And we still Madison goes after school some days and has invited me a couple times, but obviously I have hockey after school to still work with Miss Matzik after school some days and help her with projects and like stuff like that. But that's pretty much elementary school teachers that really stuck out to me because I would always just like when I would go to my aunt's class, I would always go back to Miss Matzick's class for
Mhm.
sure. But then moving to middle school, definitely Miss Mulcahy and Mr. Mace. Those 2 for sure, I really connect those were both my 5th grade teachers. I had Mulcahy for science and Mace for math, and I was one of the weird 5th grade classes. I was in blue pod, but I would go up to gold pod for science. Really weird, but it was really fun, and I really liked it, and Miss Mulcahy, she knew my dad, so I would always be talking to her about, "Hey, I already know my dad knows you," or
Mhm.
whatever, and she's like, "Oh, yeah," and a lot of my teachers know my dad, so I would on the first day be like, "Hey, do you know my dad or do you know my aunt?" And they'd be like, "Yeah," and that's how it started right away, and then Mr. Mace, he developed my love for math really young. Like, I'm minoring in math up at college, and I think that honestly started in his class. He really showed me how much of a mathlete I could be, and just really showed me the love of the problem solving I have. So that was very fun in middle school. And then moving on to high school, that's where a lot of, I think, my prime teachers will come in. Is obviously starting freshman year, Mr. Hannenberg, you of course. I think that was definitely the highlight and the start of my senior year or high school, and just brought it through everything, and like even just being like just you have it as a teacher and then connecting with sports and everything outside of it, and just the community that I don't even think you realize you have in this Raider world, but that's for sure. And then obviously my aunt, I had her for AP Chem. That's where I also developed my love for chemistry and problem solving and science. And Miss Kerner, AP Calc teacher, I love her, and that words I got to Miss Jonas is those 2 are good friends, and I babysit for Miss Jonas, so I got close with her. And then shout out to Miss Peterson, my advisory teacher. She's got me through all these 4 years and just someone I can go hang out with, which is really fun through that. So, yeah, a lot of my teachers are high school teachers, but I think they teach high school for a reason, and that shows.
For sure. Do you think Mr. Mason, Miss Mulcahy, that transition from 4th grade to middle school is pretty hard for a lot of kids, and I'm seeing that this year with my daughter too, but do you think you picked 2 5th grade teachers that really helped you with that transition from
Oh,
elementary
for
school to
sure.
middle school?
For sure, and I the way the middle school has it set up with the pods and stuff, they really understood that, and even with my class being the weird class that goes to gold pod to blue pod, they really showed it, and they showed how because once you get to middle school, you start doing, like, honors or not, or accelerated or not, and they really are able to they see the people who have potential and people who don't, and they work with the people who are struggling, and they really give them that, but then the people who are excelled and aren't really challenged, they give the extra work and they do challenge them even if the work they're given isn't challenging.
Perfect. Next thing we really like hearing about is your sports journey, Lauren. So I want to hear about all the sports you played growing up. I know you're a two-sport athlete right now, and you did a little managing here with the soccer team this year as well. We can't count it as a three-sport athlete, but yeah, definitely are a
It's
two-sport
okay.
athlete. So, so let's hear about all the sports you played growing up. And I really like stopping when we get to a high school level. So a lot of the people that
Sure.
we have on here are alumni, especially. They usually start playing high school sports at maybe that 7th and 8th grade level. If that was you could talk about your sports journey in 7th and 8th grade with the high school. If not, no worries. Once again, we could stop right around that JV or the varsity level with the high school.
For sure. Okay, so I started T-ball second I could walk, and same with skating on the ice. We've always my cousins and my dad, we've always made an ice rink in our backyard, so the second I could lift my neck or even stand up. I was out on skates because I just got hand-me-downs like crazy from my older cousin. So I was just messing around, and I was the youngest of what, like 9, 10 cousins. So we just have like bins of stuff in our garage. Oh, you're up a size? Here's a new pair of skates, or here's some gloves, or here's a bat. Or I'm like, okay, this is cousin Joe's old bat. I'll go use it. But and then softball and hockey for sure. Those are the 2 I'm in right now. Managed for soccer this year, but I played soccer all growing up. And that's where I decided to manage this year is because it's split in 8th grade-ish. You had to pick between softball or soccer because they're both summer sports. So obviously I picked softball, but then I also played volleyball in middle school, which was really fun. I really liked volleyball and I was gonna play it in high school, but with fall sports, it's really hard to play and do the fall, summer or the fall and summer hockey camps too. So that was the hard part with the fall sports, but yeah, that's volleyball, soccer, hockey and soccer, yeah.
Awesome. So let's go through your high school career then. And I really like hearing about all the accomplishments, personal ones and team ones that go with your high school career. So I like starting at that ninth grade fall season. And if you didn't play anything or you were involved in managing at that point too, we can hear about that as well. And then we'll go from ninth grade fall to ninth grade winter to ninth grade spring. And once again, any personal accomplishments. So if you were captain of the team, all conference, say qualifier for the teams, or any little things that really stick out from those seasons that really made them special. Let's hear about those.
For sure. Okay, so fall, sophomore or freshman year, didn't play anything. I decided not to play volleyball. So I went straight to hockey and I worked my heart off all summer, and I was like, "I need to make varsity as a freshman." I feel like I really wanna do that, and so I worked my butt off, and winter of freshman year comes along. I ended up making varsity as a freshman, and let alone making it, I was the starting defense for our team our freshman year, which was really big accomplishment for me, I felt. And then that year was just there's a lot of ups and downs with that year. That year our hockey coach ended up getting fired, but that was I it was a good season. We ended up with I think 8-13 record. Wasn't horrible, but we had some good wins in there and some crucial wins. And then moving on to spring of my ninth grade year, I ended up making JV. All my friends made varsity for softball. I felt really down and sad about that, but I prayed about it and I asked a lot about it, and I really showed that I needed to be on JV. I was able to really find the love and the grit and the want for softball and honestly establish a much higher competition and athletic level in softball that is very much needed and the mental toughness for that sport. And that's where I met Miss Chandler. And that's I think was huge for me is she taught me the potential I had, because all year I was like, "I'm the only one of my friends who made varsity or JV. I feel like I should be up there, like, they're just sitting on the bench not even playing," and then I was like, "Wait, play all 9 innings, every game, whatever position I would like. We get to beat these teams." Like, I'm much rather happier here, and I get to find where I wanna play and what I wanna do, and at that point, I was, shortstop. So, I was that full infield on that. Outfields was like, "No way," and as we know now, that's where my home is now is outfield. Up that year for sections, and we didn't make a good run. We lost to Egan in the 3-6 game that year, and then that was kinda wrapped it up for softball that year. But 10th grade year, hockey, new coach, new hockey coach, and I was like, "I don't know how to feel about this guy. This is weird." The coaching styles were very different. And I didn't really know how to feel about that because very much me and some of my friends were very much favored by our old coach. So we didn't really know how to feel about now this new coach who was everyone was equal because we didn't know anybody. And that 10th grade year, I don't really got specific memories on that year, but it was very much a relationship building year. We were trying to learn him, he was trying to learn us. We were developing a team. And so that happened. Then 10th grade year for softball, ended up making varsity, got in a few games because we had, I think, 10 seniors. Like, us sophomores were not hitting the field. Like,
Mhm.
obviously, Haley Strain was. She's a beast. She will always be up on that, in that circle, as she should be. And congratulations to her. She just hit 1,000 points.
Yeah, I saw that. That's really cool.
Yeah, really good for her. I'm really proud of her. I know she puts in a lot of work in that sport, whether people
Mhm.
know it or not. And we just we didn't really go far in sections that year, I don't think. We fell to Burnsville pretty early on, I think. But and that year we got Becca, who is now our new varsity head coach for softball this year, and she was the JV coach that year, which I didn't get to play with her that year, which was sad. But she coached me in the summer, the Raider association that summer. So I knew her as a coach as she coached me that summer going up to 10th grade year. So that year finished. Last year for hockey, 11th grade year hockey, he figured out relationships he established. We knew him, he knew us. And so now we can start getting cracked down on our this is what we want to do. You know us, we know you, and we could be able to figure this out. We had Bree and Kira tore their ACLs that fall. So we were like, oh crap, our star goalie, our forwards are gone. So it was a lot of grit and work ethic through us because I know a lot of us were like, we're going to play for them. They're at every practice. They're there every practice, even when we're in the West rink and they're on the metal bleachers. tied up in their blankets with a space heater. They're
Mhm.
there every time, whether we have the long practices or the short practices. We have to play for them. We do it for them. We set it every team huddle before games, and no clue. We were able to do that. And senior night, they were able to dress out for the first face off. The refs and on the team allowed us to do a special face off for them, which was really cool, which was really fun because I know it's hard. It was hard seeing them, especially with those two being two of my really close friends. It was really hard to see them fall through that and go through that, which was really hard because I've played with them since youth. And that was really fun. We fell to sections first game that year, and which was hard, but we lost some seniors. We were the 5th seed and Rosemont was the 4th seed. They went to state that year. So 4th seed going to state. And we lost by I think 2.
Mhm.
We made a good run in sections. We really showed them what we had that year. We lost some crucial players, Maddie Schuster, Autumn Burt, really crucial players out, but they ended up are playing in college now. So good for them. And then softball last year, that was fun. That was where we really started. All of us who were freshmen at that time we're all playing now. We all established and that's where I established my love for outfield. I realized I wasn't gonna play as a sophomore, so I was like, "Wherever." And they're like, "We're putting Jenkins in the infield. You wanna play right field?" I'm like, "Perfect. Haley's a left-handed pitcher. I'll make a home run in right field." And now I would not change it for the world. You tell me to go to center, I'd be like, "Can I go back to right?"
Mhm.
Or even they put me at shortstop for practice once, and I was like, I like it better out there. I was like, I would much rather go back in the grass. I like it over there. And it's very interesting. If you look at some of the spray charts, well, we'll switch. Like with Haley being a left-handed pitcher and pretty fast, I think left got a total of like 12 balls last year, and I would get like 12 a game. So the spray chart is just completely opposite to what normal spray charts would look like in the season, which I think also threw a lot of teams off defensively and offensively with Haley and how we set up and how like we're overloading on second base and first and just how we set up, which I think threw some teams off. And I think one thing that really not scares teams off, but how much the energy is. And I think that's huge in sports, especially girl sports. Like when we're all there and we're all just screaming our hearts away and we're in it and and that's all we are. We're not thinking about our tests. We're not thinking about other things, but it's all we're in it. And I think we're just screaming our hearts out. Like if we're on the bus and we don't have an itchy voice, that's
Okay.
an issue. We were like, guys, we weren't really hyped today. And it's even when we're losing, we're putting like blood in our throats. And that year, like last year was really fun. We fell we made it pretty far. We won our first game, then lost our second, and then won again. And we were trying to win it up, but then we lost to Eastridge at home. And because we were the 3 seed, we lost to Eastridge at home, which was a heartbreaker. But what can you do? It was hard. We were tied in like the 7th inning, and they hit. They have such a good hitter. They hit an RBI. That was really heartbreaking season, but yeah, that was 11th grade softball year, and then now 12th grade hockey oh, no, 12th grade fall, I was a soccer manager. I think that really connects to my friendship, like, obviously, people are like, "Oh, she's just a soccer manager," but the true reason I do it, and I don't know if she knows this or not, but Gavin Hansen, one of my best friends, and I don't say one of my best friends, my best friend, I retore her ACL and same one, and I've been with her all summer. I got really close with her during the summer, a lot closer than we were before, and she was just devastated. She's like, "I haven't played a sport since sophomore year, like, I tried running last year for track." She did well, whether she admits it or not, but that's the true reason why I managed was for her. No, if she knows that or not,
Mhm.
but I really wanted be with her through that and being like I said earlier, seeing Kira and Bree go through that, and then now seeing my best friend go through that again because I saw her do it the summer before, and it made me think, I don't know what I would do. I have no clue what I would do with that, and just being able to help her through it and being able to do it with her, I think it really helped her and it helped me because we were both struggling with very different things at the time. So being able to spend sports there, like after school, like forcibly being together for sports, I think was really good for us to be able to work on ourselves with working on each other, which was fun. And then now currently senior year hockey season, started off the season 9-1. We had a big run. First home opener, we lost to Gentry in overtime. Heartbreaker. That was really sad. We outshot them too, I think. And then we went on to win 9 games right after that. Boom, boom. Games that honestly we didn't think we were ever gonna win. We beat Simley for the first time since 2018. Then everyone was like, okay, we can do this. We got this. And so we just keep winning. We fell to some teams during the Christmas break, and which that kind of set us back, but now I think it established, honestly, it was good that we lost those games because it established more urgency from the team. And now we got 2 huge games this week, 2 Rivers and Simley that we need to beat again to be able to get a home section game, which is definitely one of our goals this year. But oh, I forgot to mention last year for softball, I was all conference honorable mention, and I was in the 300 club, and I had no airs. I was Golden Glove out there, and we haven't won a we haven't won a section game for hockey, which hopefully that's our goal this year to win a section game. That's for sure one of our goals and get a big, huge winning record. But yeah, the season so far, this softball season, new coach Becca, I think we're gonna make a huge run, and we have a huge run for state this year. That's hopefully gonna happen.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next question is just to preview the softball season. So obviously you just said we're pretty much in the heart of the winter season right now, your senior year hockey, and I think you did a great job previewing what your goals are for the rest of the season. But if you want to wrap up hockey this year too, anything else to add on there for previewing maybe the rest of the season? And then, like I said, goals for your softball season upcoming, your senior year here, last one.
For sure. I think as the years developed, I my love for softball has grown. Like I I know it's hard of this hockey season, but I have dreams of me catching balls in outfield. And I'll wake up and I'm like, "Oh, we're going to the state tournament." Like I and just things like that. And it's we've all been together, all the girls that were starting last year and all of us girls in my age and even some of the girls in the grade below us, we've been playing on the same traveling team, U6 and T-ball. Since T-ball when I was 4, me and Haley Strain have been on the same team every single year. We played probably different seasons together, from fall to summer to spring. That's all I've always been with Haley Strain, and now just being able us being, like, know us and to see what we are doing now and to see us 17, 18-year-old girls have a chance to be able to go to state, like, all of us being you look around in the outfield, especially from my perspective as a right fielder, you look up Addie, Lauren Meyer, Haley, Sienna, and you see all of us out there. It's, "Oh my gosh, that's all of us." All of us are
Mhm.
here doing something we love for something we love, and it's just this year we have a huge okay, there's my cats too. We have a huge run at sections and huge run for state, and with a new coach, with a coach that we've all had experience with before, like I said, with the hockey season, we won't need to be able to build that relationship because we already have that with her. So you can skip that whole part and go straight in and hopefully make that run for state that we've all been dreaming of since T-ball.
Perfect. Let's rewind for a second here too. I like one thing you said about your freshman year. You talked about making JV softball when all your other friends made varsity. And you mentioned it in the rapid fire. One of my favorite books is Chop Wood Carry Water. And that book talks about using failures and setbacks to lead you further in the future. So I thought you did a great job talking about how that in the moment it felt like a failure. It felt like a setback when all your other friends were making varsity, when you were just in the JV. And I thought you had a great attitude when it comes to it. We're saying, you couldn't make the varsity, and I felt like maybe your sophomore year was a little bit like that, or getting brought up at the end of your ninth grade year was a little like that too, where you really didn't see the field as much as you thought you were gonna see it, and, but playing the JV, you have to see the field as much as you want, playing every single game, you got a lot of reps. So looking back at it now, having that setback, that failure, do you think that really led you further in the future and really helped prepare you for more success in the future after that freshman year?
Oh my gosh, for sure, because obviously JV softball is a whole set of level down from varsity, and I think it established me being able I don't think I would be here where I am with the stats that I hold last year if I didn't make JV. I think being able to do that, hitting, just constantly going through those hits, seeing different balls, seeing strikes, seeing on all these different types of pitchers, and being able to and all the usually in when you get to these higher level sports, you can read where the ball's gonna go because the higher skilled athletes get, you know where they're gonna hit it, or you can read off their movements and how they stand and how they react. But in JV, be looking like they're hitting it in right field, and then there'll be a left field foul ball. Like, it would be totally different, and I think that really made me the want to play outfield and just go crazy, and just chase balls and catch them, and I think that's where I really developed, like you said earlier, developed my love for outfield is if I would have never made JV, I would have never playing outfield. I'd probably still be sitting the bench and being able to play the first time this year. And being able to want and play outfield, I think really is create the successes that I have now.
Awesome. So you mentioned Gavin Hansen. Her dad is our athletic director. And one thing that he always likes challenging us coaches is he likes to ask us why we coach. So on here, Lauren, we like turning that around on our guests and asking you guys why you play sports. So obviously, you've played many sports growing up. You talked about playing volleyball and soccer when you were growing up, and you've cut those sports out, and you're mainly just hockey and softball now. But got back into managing, and obviously, sports is a huge part of your life and plays a huge role in your life. Once again, why do you play sports and why is sports so important to you?
For sure, I definitely think the biggest thing that why I play sports is the leadership aspect. I love being a leader, and even if we have a group project, I'll be like, "Okay, guys, this we should do this. Put in input," but I won't be like dictator. Like I want to feed off of people. I want to know what other people want and what to do with it. I just think the leadership part of sports is huge. Like even just seeing the ice differently. Like our goalies, they have their own leadership. Our the forwards have a leadership to score goals, the defense have a leadership to keep it back, and even seeing the different types of leadership, like even back into the locker room. Like one thing I read an article, it was last year I read an article about these different types of leaders, and I actually think Trent gave me the article, and it was there's a quiet leader, there can be like a funny leader, there can be like athletic leader, there can be like an academic leader, and there can be like a loud leader, and all these different types of leaders really connected with me because then I was able to see it on the team. It's like, oh my gosh, she is such a leader, but she won't say a peep in the locker room.
Mhm.
Not a word. But it's a reason why we function on the team. And then there's other I'm a loud person. I think many people know that. I go to Hastings, and I think I would really connect myself with a loud leader or even just someone who tries to make people laugh. Like, I might not look like I'm taking the sport seriously, but it's just because I want everyone to want to be there and want to be fun, and I want to make it known with that, which kind of transfers to another reason why I play is youth. Youth is so big to me. I want any chance I get, I want to go down and help the youth. Like, I coached your daughter this
Mhm.
fall. I was
I
able to
know.
be her softball coach, which was probably one of the best experience ever. It was so fun being able to coach, and I love coaching. I coach hockey during the summer sometimes too, and just being with the youth and feeling like them look up to me and like a leader and just being able to help the community, which is another reason that I
Mhm.
play is the community part of it, is have a functioning community, athletic community for it to work. And the way I really think of it is when I was a youth, we had the varsity girls come practice with us sometimes. And I was like, best thing ever. I want to be them one day. And then now that I am practicing with the youth, it's, oh my gosh, you just feel accomplished. All the thoughts and worries and stresses and everything that's going through your head just disappears when you help the youth. And I know not all people are built for that because there's some girls on my team who are like, I do not like coaching. I do not want to be a teacher. I do not want to do
Mhm.
anything with kids. But I'm like, any chance coach is like, "Hey, you wanna get me? Got it. I'll do it." Like, I'm there all the time. I would love to be there if any like, I just love being able to work with the youth, and like I said earlier, I think the rapid fire is the community, being able to walk into Walmart or Quick Trip and be like, "Oh my gosh, you had a great game last night," or "Great hit," like, "Great RBI," or like, "Great catch," like, and just being able to connect it. Or even this morning I went to hot yoga this morning, and they're like, "Oh, hey, Lauren, I watched you play the other day." And I went to my friend. I was like, "I don't know who that is," and she was like, "Oh my gosh, my daughter knows you," and or even just back to there'll be times where my parents will sit me down and be like, we just wanna say how proud you are because these parents are coming up to us and saying how, like, grateful they are that like, what you're doing with their daughters," and I'm like, "I didn't even realize I had that impact on them." Like, even if I just said hi to them once, or even I helped a girls with, like, on the team or this Hadley's team that I coached this fall, just one girl, she was a catcher and she was struggling a little bit, and I gave her a little tip and even some of the shortstops and outfield, and the coaches came up to me and were just like, they didn't drop a ball that game. And I was like, "Oh my god." Like, it makes you feel so accomplished, it makes you feel so good, and you don't realize the stuff you have because in our game, it's just a routine catch for us. But
Mhm.
people that's just in the youth, that's not what it is. So, yeah, that's a few reasons why I play.
Yeah. I love it, and I know you brought it up, but and I was eventually gonna bring it up, but you did coach my daughter's softball team last year, and I just want everybody to know, I threw it out to you, and without hesitation, you said, "Yes, I'm there. When's the practices?" You came to a ton of the practices, a ton of the games. It had a huge impact on these girls, and I know one thing that we always, probably forget is you just talked about when you were younger and seeing those older athletes come to your practices, your games, and how much that meant to you. And then you get to turn around and do it for the next generation. It's just absolutely huge. These girls love it. They can't stop talking about it. And we really keep that trend going and that cycle going and having a positive impact on the next generation. So I just want to say, as a dad here, thank you so much for doing that last year. It really meant a lot to the girls. And it was really meaningful and impactful for them too. And like I said, I know I just said it, but without hesitation, you said yes right away. And it was awesome for you to do that. So thank you, Lauren. So that was really
Of
cool.
course. I look forward to these next summers being able to coach, hopefully, before I go up.
For sure. So another thing that we like hearing about is your favorite moment so far as a Raider athlete. So I know you talked about a lot of things with softball and hockey so far, and along with managing as well. So it could come from any of those three things. If you have a favorite moment from all three different things that you're involved in when it comes to sports here at Hastings High School, you could talk about those. Or if you have one big specific thing as your favorite moment so far as a Raider athlete, you could talk about that as well.
For sure. I have 2 specifically. One of them, I think, mainly is connecting with the freshmen that I've been able to connect with. And as a senior, I forget how much, like, we need those freshmen because I was a freshman once, and I didn't have that connection with a senior. And that's what I think we struggled with in my freshman and sophomore years. It was upperclassmen and lowerclassmen. There was no mingles, there's nothing in between, team dinners, they would go on their own. Like, I remember I was, like, senior night, I was like, "I can't wait for these people to graduate," and my whole entire I'm like, "I do not wanna be the senior. I do not wanna be the senior, I just wanna include people, I want everyone to be together," because for a team to function, you have to have relationship, you have to have a connection between before you can even think of having a connection on the field or court or mat or anything. So that's one thing that I will for sure stress on that. And a few freshmen that I will call out is Annie Schreifer and Bryn Kelly. Those two I never would have thought I would become this close with them, but now they're probably the people I would go to for anything. Like not even some of my senior friends. Just hearing that different perspective on things with that. But favorite moment was experiencing the wrestling state championship. And not just because 'cause you're the wrestling coach, but that was my favorite, like, unity, just I don't think I've ever been in Excel that long my entire life. And I was, like, wrestled at, like, 9 a.m. and then again
Hmm.
at 1, and then again at 7, and I didn't leave. Just went up to the top, ate concession food all weekend, skipped school, and just seeing everyone there and being able to see everyone and we were playing STMA, and we needed to get like 4 pins in a row to win.
Yeah,
I was
just to
like,
recap here. Yeah, we were down 32-9 and made a pretty miraculous comeback there. It was the last 3 matches. We needed to get pins in the last 3 and to win by 1 point, and that's exactly what happened. Ended up winning 33-32, so
for sure, and I saw that, and I was like I remember because a lot of the boys I was really close with, and they were like, there was a ton of seniors that they were just really sad graduating, like Blake Beisel and Trey and Jack Bainbridge I was really close with, and they were just talking to me about it, and I was devastated for them. Like, when I saw the 32-9, I was like, "We got it." It was, like, Blake Clemens, Josh, and Ian. I was like, "Oh, we need." They got it. I know it. Like, I see them in school. They're the nicest people. They say hi. The whole school was, like, the week coming up to it. Like, I words can't describe how it felt in there. Like, it was homecoming week. Bro, it's like it was the funnest thing I've ever experienced, and then being able to go experience it there because we obviously came up strong with Beisel and all of them, like we typically did. And then I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And then the second he pinned him was it Blake in the final?
yeah,
Like,
Blake Clemens, yep.
yep, Blake Clemens was the final pin, and I saw him be able to flip him, and I was like, "My eyes," and I just heard everything. And the pictures and the moments from that, I remember this specifically. Blake running up and just thing into McClay's arms and yours too. And I was just like, what is happening? I was shaking. I was like, this isn't real. There was no one left there except all Hastings, all STMA. And it was by far the favorite moment ever I've experienced. And even before that, you you would tell me something about wrestling and I would have no clue.
Mhm.
Not a clue what it meant. And then that whole week, I'm like, I'm determined. I need to know how wrestling works. And by that time, I was calling takedowns. I was calling like I was like, "Wait,
You
I
knew
kinda
it all.
know this."
I like
Yeah,
it.
I was like, "I kinda."
Yeah.
So,
No, I
yeah,
agree
that
with you
was for
too.
sure.
I sometimes I think about it too, and I think it was a movie as well, and I just watched the movie, and I didn't live it, but it was a pretty wild experience, I'll tell you that.
Sure.
That's great. Another thing that Mr. Hansen likes asking us coaches is about success. So on here, Lauren, we like turning that around on our guests and asking you about success and what success means to you when it comes to sports. So let's hear about your definition of success.
I think success is the measure between the start and the finish of the year. Like, how you set goals at the beginning of the year, and did you guys accomplish them? And if you didn't, that's what most people think success is. But I think it's the measure between the final and the end. Did the relationships come out how they wanted? Did you win the games you wanted? And even if you didn't win, success could be made by wins or titles or awards. But I think it's grows because it might be your senior year and you're leaving, but the way, especially for hockey, like for the D zone or the offensive zone, if you create a stronger D zone, you'll leave that with all behind. And there's in your mind, you're graduating, but there's years and years of this program to come. And especially like in softball, players. Like it's quote unquote an individual sport because it's individual plays at that time, like individual hits, individual catches, there's errors and stuff like that. And I think the success is really just as a team and the community and the relationships were built stronger for the whole better of the sport.
Perfect. So right now we're in the middle of your senior year. I know you talked about being in my ninth grade health class. I can't even believe right now that your senior year is almost wrapped up, but let's hear about any plans you have next year for college. I know you have a couple different options, and I think you've really zoned in on your one school that you really want to go to. Let's hear about a major if you have that picked out. And let's hear about if you do plan on playing any sports at the next level.
For sure. Okay, so I have fully committed to University of North Dakota, and I made that final decision, and I'm majoring in forensic science in the criminal investigation department, and I'm minoring in math. So I'm in that nerdy world up there, but I think it'll be really fun. and I really wanted University of North Dakota does not have a women's hockey team. So, they used to have one, but it was budget cuts and everything. They got rid of that up there, but obviously the boys team is very successful up there as they were number 2 in the nation last year, but, I really wanted to play softball. I was like, "I can't give up softball, like, I need to be able to play that." But I really own it, and I was like, "The D1 sport, I know it's not gonna be good for me. I know I'm in high school and I'm already too stressed about some things. Imagine having 6 AM lift and then travel and then having a science math base major. That's crazy. Like, I can play club softball, I can come back and coach. Doesn't mean I need to tie up my cleats or skates
Mhm.
forever. I just won't be able to play competitively, but I don't really have any plans for sports up there, but I think I'll definitely find my way at the rink and the field and the gym and a lot up there for sure.
Perfect. The next couple questions, whenever I have a guest on here, I always say that they're probably very impossible to answer. So just do your best. And once again, you're a multi sport athlete. You've had a lot of different coaches. You've played with a lot of different girls throughout your life. If you want to name a couple different people with each question, you're more than welcome to do that. So the first question that we have here is the best coach. So once again, you could define the best coach in many different ways. And you've had a lot of coaches growing up, have a lot of coaches here at Hastings High School. But if you had to name a couple different people or maybe one person as the best coach that you have ever played for, who would it be and why?
I feel like I'm obligated to say my dad because he built the rink every winter. He really strived. He was my coach all throughout youth, and it was really hard saying because he would coach even like our captain's practice, like liability reasons when you have an adult on the ice, and he would always be out there with us. And this year was our last captain's practice skate. He was like, "Last time we're on the ice together." And I just started sobbing during practice. I was like, "Oh my gosh, like, you can't say that, like, that's all I knew." That's all I knew from he would be my T-ball coach, he would be my hockey coach, that's all he would be forever, and it was I think when I say best coach is because he would come home with me, and we'd live in the same house, so I'd hear the dad side and the coach side of it, which I think is huge in coaching, but for actual coaches, I think RJ, which is now he's our assistant high school coach, but I had him as a U15s coach, and that was probably one of the best seasons of hockey our team has ever played, and me too, especially. We won districts over Rosemount, which was, like, unheard of at the time, like, Rosemount, we played them, like, 8 times that year and won and lost 7,
Mhm.
and we beat them in districts to go to regions. We ended up falling to them in the region final to go to state, but we were able to get there and make a run in regions for the region final, which was really fun, and I think he just pushed us so hard and conditioned us constantly, so when we had games like that would go into multiple overtimes, we would win because we were conditioned. Like, we had that urgency and that stamina to keep going through that, which was huge. And just a role model coach for me would be my uncle. He coached Steve Benson. He coached the girls' hockey team, I think, from existence
Mhm.
there. And he has such a legacy and an impact on the community. Like you say Benny, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, I know him." Of course you do. Everyone does. Seems that way. And he coached girls hockey forever, obviously. And you could just see how much he loved hockey and he loved coaching hockey and being there and having the whole sense of the girls love being coached underneath him, which was very, very heartwarming and wanting to be at the rink because my cousin was also coached under him, his daughter, and she was someone I looked up to forever. And I think that was just really something I wanted to do was be able to be coached under him, and he would come up to some of our youth practices, and I was like, "He is the reason why I play hockey for sure."
Perfect. Now, same kind of question, very impossible once again. So I know that's really hard. So you can name multiple different girls, multiple different sports if you really wanted to, Lauren. So same kind of question once again, valuable teammate now instead of coach. So These are the girls you grew up with playing, girls you played sports with now at the high school. If you had to name me the best teammate or most valuable teammate in your life, who would that be?
I think with softball, a lot of the seniors from hockey, I kind of butt heads with. We never, like I said earlier, we really never is very much divided growing up through the hockey community. I think a lot of this question will be around softball, but I think for sure the Jenkins sisters. Those two ride or like anytime I think the whole Jenkins family at that point. But both of the girls, like you have Lauren who's an outfielder and infielder, and then Kendall who can play infield but mainly catcher, and they see the game so well. They're so good at the game, but they're truly just the best people to be able to grow up with that sport and be able to see them. But I think for sure the most valuable teammate in growing up is Sienna McCoy and Haley Strain. Those two, I will be very sad to go away from them. And those two will keep it going through the game. They're player like athletically and mentally and just like friends wise. You'll be able to share a laugh. Like Sienna located her thumb mid game and kept going. I was like, no, you have to sit down. Like, and then there'd be times where like I would get injured or something, and she'd be the first one there, or I'd strike out after I wouldn't strike out for many at bats, and she'd be right there with me, or I'd have a good hit, she would be right on the side on the foul line cheering me on. She was definitely big hype girl for sure.
Perfect. The last couple questions then for you, Lauren. We always look for advice for our parents, coaches, and student athletes. First group that we always look at is our parents and coaches. Looking back on the last 3.5 years so far of high school sports, being a multi-sport athlete, if you had to give parents and coaches just a few pieces of advice, what do you think would be?
The biggest thing I think I would stress is girls are much different than guys. They need to be coached differently and they need to be talked to differently. That girls, this is one thing that to the day I die, no matter how much I coach, is girls need to feel good, play good, to feel good. And I think that just it basically wraps up coaching girls and guys in a whole. But I think you can't just scream at a girl in mid game and think she's gonna wanna go back out there and play her heart out. She will she'll probably end up just sitting down, like shoulder sinking, heart sink, and just wanna cry and not wanna be out there. And rather than, "No, they messed up. No, we messed up." So that's that. That's fine. Nothing happened. It's okay. It's that positive reassurance, like right away, and then being like, but start off with positive right away, rather than I feel like guys, they more fuel off of and go. Like they take that criticism, they take it and go, rather than the girls like it's okay, and then now let's go. And I think that's just very different. And I've even experienced this because I've coached boys and girls, and I've coached 8-year-old boys, but obviously pretty much the same as high school boys. But they're just okay. Have to get their attention and kind of scream at them a little bit, and then they're like, okay.
Mhm.
Rather than you say something to a girl and they're like, no, I don't want to play anymore.
Yep.
And if you want a girl to stay in the sport, you got to make it fun for them. The boys make it fun, but I think the relationship with coaches and girls need to be a lot stronger and more personable so they have that ability to want to do that. And I think obviously coaching and parenting is extremely difficult, but I think there's a way where coaches coach and parents can parent. They're they should be separate. And I don't think no one wants to feel good and have a 45-minute car ride home with parents saying all this and this. And like you didn't even play the sport. You don't know.
Mhm.
And it's even like you probably they already probably already heard a 50-minute rant from their coach. And I know they're getting skated or ran at practice on Monday. Like, I think those 2 should be I know they're hard, but I think there should be more of a split between the 2, for sure. Those are the 2 things I would say.
I love it. The last group that we look at then is student athletes. So either the girls that are coming to watch your softball games These are the girls that come in to watch your hockey games. No, I think the 2 sports that you play as well do a great job with the Big Sisters, Little Sisters program as well. So any of those athletes or anyone else that's coming to watch any of your games as well. This could be high school kids as well. So if you had to give a couple pieces of advice for those guys, those other student athletes, what do you think it would be?
I think something I would say is don't burn yourself out because you can get to your senior year right where I am and be playing 14 years of hockey. And it's 14 seasons, 14 winters. And it's just like, wow. Like you can burn out very fast with that. And I think you can do and enjoy it when you do it. Don't just there. Do it because you want to do it and you want to get better and have a reason and have that intention and make it tangible or make it like take that thought and physically write it down or physically pretend like you can hold it and don't take anything for granted. Like I was saying with um Gavin, Bree, and Kira, you just watch their life get ripped out in front of them. You can't take anything for granted. And even my 11th grade year, I hurt my back for I like there's something tweaked with the muscles around my spine and I was out for 3 weeks and I was like, "It's horrible," but they
Mhm.
were out for a year.
Mhm.
That was their senior year. Yeah, I was like, "Oh, that's crazy," but I think another huge thing I would say is make sure you establish a life out of your sport. The sport isn't your life. You have to make sure you have a balance, and you have to keep that balance because you have to think of sports and a life like a chair. You have sports, and then you have your life, like a two-legged table. You need these 2, and the one can't you can't be all sport. It's not gonna work. You have to make sure you have that escape and outside of it because if it is your life, what happens when you the section game? You just feel like there's nothing left, which I think you need to be able to establish that balance and be able to pour more into relationships and friends.
Awesome. Lauren, that's all the questions I got for you tonight. Last thing we always do is just turn the microphone over to our guest. So if there's anything else you want to get off your chest, any questions I didn't ask you that you want to talk about, or any shout outs you want to give, the time is yours and you can go for it.
For sure. Firstly, I want to shout out slash give a prayer to Jack Bainbridge. We all know what he's going through and everything, and he's one of my really good friends. And it's just like saying what I don't take for granted, like just seeing these people when their sport now they get told they can't do it anymore. It's so hard to see, and he's such a good, warming person that it's really hard to see, and I really and that's another reason why I play, is for people like that, that who don't have the ability to play. But one thing I would say for the kind of like the younger girls is defense my whole entire life in hockey. I switched to forward in high school, and I was leading scorer last year, and it just switches, and even before that, I used to be a righty, shoot right. Oh, I did. And then one week my coach was like, "Here, try this lefty stick." And then I switched to lefty. And that is extremely hard to do. And I don't think people realize that. And that same thing happened this past year in softball. I was a righty and now they'd be like, "You should start slapping." So I
Mm.
slapped all summer and now I hit both and I hit lefty and I hit lefty all in the cages all this fall and the winter. And I hit lefty all summer long and I ended up going my batting average was like .58 or something lefty, and I was like, "Oh, don't give up on something, just keep going with things like that." The one question that I wanna talk about is the improvement process.
Mhm.
I already talked about it earlier, but many people think of working out, getting in the gym, getting stronger, eating healthy, which all those stuff are huge, but it's like I said earlier, you have to have that tangible thing on why you play. Those people, those the want, the community, like, you have to be able to find those people to be able to have that sense of sports, but I think that's pretty much all I have.
Awesome. Any other shout outs you want to give? I know you talked about Jack Bainbridge, but I know you have a lot of friends at the high schools. Like I said, any other shout outs, the time is yours and you can go for it.
Yeah, for sure, shout out Jack Bainbridge, but I think I shouted out earlier, Haley Strain, 1,000 points, huge on her. But again, Kate Reuter, she's going through a lot this year, and she's still showing insane, insane. I don't know what the right word is, but not grit, but she just being an athlete. She's being a
Mhm.
Raider athlete.
I
She's
would say
just
like
really,
courage or fortitude as well. Maybe
yeah.
two words. I don't know if those are what you're looking for, but I would say
She
those are
just
two words to describe what she's
she's
going
not
through.
giving up. She's really, we all know what she's going through, and especially as someone who's a really close friend of hers. There's a lot of people that is happening that people don't know about that's happening, and that she doesn't even say, like, even just some things that will happen from it, from the passing of her dad, and her still being able to go show a show on the court, or like just being able to push through and have those smiles. And you look at some of Denny Beck's pictures, and she has the biggest grin. And if that would happen to me, I probably would not be in school, would not be playing sports. She just, her for sure. And again, Gavin Hansen, she's just best friend, ride or die. She will always be there for me, and she'll always be there. So, her and Fiona, those two are
Mhm.
my buddies for sure.
Awesome. Thank you, Lauren.